We know that the future lies in the hands of the youth. If we allow the environment to be degraded in such a way that the youth cannot have a peaceful coexistence and peaceful health, then there are no youths. So this is the time now we should raise our voice, we should campaign, we should lobby politicians, do all in our power to make sure that we reverse this negative trend in relation to climate change. Of course, we know health issues affecting youths are numerous in Sierra Leone. We have so many youths that are on drugs now because some of them have been displaced from the rural areas, wherein agriculture is no longer thriving as an entrepreneurship. So they are flooding the capital city where we have overpopulation. And in the city now, there are no jobs. So most of the youths are involved in crime, prostitution, increase in HIV and AIDS, and other STIs. So the future lies in the hands of the youth. And we know that the environment is the place where we live and interact. It is the environment that keeps us. But if the environment is not conducive, if the climate in which we are living is not conducive, then the future is bleak. That is why we need all our efforts, we need all the efforts of youth to make sure that we stop this menace in society. Thank you.
I guess we can hear from Karan on his thoughts on how young people, why it is important for young people to share their voices and concerns on these issues.
Okay, well, I think it's time that young people share their opinions about the climate issue and raise their voices because climate change is an issue that is going to change terribly the lives of young people especially, and the life of young generation also. It can have very huge impact of on the life of young generation. The effect or the consequences of climate change are going to be effective because we can't avoid it. And it's time to think about solution. It's time to think about how we're going to resolve it. So we have to try to think about it now because our future depends on it. And I think that the problem is so serious that we can't live like there's nothing what that is happening. So young people, I think young people must be at the first stage to fight against climate change, and nobody can do it nobody can do it better as young people can do.
I totally agree. We as young people, our voices need to be heard across the world. And right now is the best time during this unprecedented time to share our voices and to have a stronger voice within the world as it relates to global issues. So Anna, do you want to add anything as it relates to why it is important for us as young people now to have a voice?
Yeah, I think it's imperative that we raise our voices and say something about climate change because we need to be the change that we want to see. And we need to protect the environment for our future generations. So I think it's important that we come out and we make a difference. We do things to sustain the environment so that future generations can enjoy some of the things that we were able to enjoy from the earth, and we can try and save the planet a little longer. So basically it's important for us to come out and make a difference and do something because we want to enjoy the earth a little longer. With regards to what was just said by the gentleman, I think Al Hassan, I can relate to what you were saying about climate change and how it affects agriculture and our livestock. In Trinidad and Tobago, we have a lot of flooding. So the impacts of flooding come and affect our livestock, our agriculture, because after the floods, it destroys our crops. We cannot drink the water that comes into the pipe as soon as they come, because the quality of the water sanitation now becomes a problem because of the amount of floods that took place. It wipes away our crop. It affects our fishes. So we experience that same thing that you just spoke about in Trinidad and Tobago. I think it was Renako that spoke about heat as well. In Trinidad and Tobago during the dry season, that's what we call it, is relatively hot. And me personally speaking, I get nosebleeds and headaches. And it becomes really, really bad in the month of May. And I think that's when it's the most hot in Trinidad and Tobago. So climate change impacts us on a large amount of things in our country, because we have our human activity that causes flooding, then global warming, so the place is hot. What else? There's a lot I can speak about, but it's just too gather the thoughts right now. But climate change affects everyone basically in the same way if we look at some of the things, because most of us experience similar things. So I don't know if it is in Sierra Leone that flooding is a great thing or not, but flooding happens a lot in Trinidad and Tobago. In my area, it's not as bad, but in other areas, people, their property get destroyed. They sometimes have to evacuate the area that they live for a time until our government can come and clean out their area, sanitize it, because we have increased cases of vector-borne illnesses and leptospirosis. In 2018, we had a lot of flooding in a newly developed area, and I don't know if it was a lack of developmental, I don't know how to phrase it, like lack of thoughts before they did the development, but the way in which the area was constructed for housing, it led to greater flooding, and people were greatly impacted. And our Coroni swamp, the bank was burst and greater flooding happened. Our animals from in the swamp were now on the roads, and we had flooding for an entire month. And it was really, really bad. People had to come and evacuate others with boats. So climate change impacts everyone on a great level, and that's just one side of the spectrum.
So Anna, I have a question for you. How is your country preparing now that it is the beginning basically of the hurricane season? And you say that your country experienced a lot of flooding.
I beg your pardon, can you go again?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So my question to you is, how is your country preparing for the hurricane season if you guys experience a lot of flooding?
Well, we are not greatly impacted by hurricanes in Trinidad and Tobago because of our topography.
Okay.
But our disaster preparedness company, they have many strategies that they put out for us during the season, during the raining season, for us to take measures for flooding.
Okay. Fantastic. That's great.
So we don't really get affected by the hurricane, but we have heavy rains. So we have measures to take for the floods.
Okay. Sounds good. Anyone from Sierra Leone's team has anything to add?
Yes, Ashley, this is Alansan. As Daniel rightly said, the importance of climate change and health is for us, the third world country or the global south, is very important for us. Because the condition of living in our countries is very very minimal. I would say it's very bad because we have more people that are living below $1. They are depend on less than $1 for a day. So most of them depend in one way or the other, either from the sea, the oceans, or agriculture, wherein they have their daily survival. So climate change now, we'll see that most of the time people not able to harvest, bumper harvest because of climate change issues. And when you don't have good food, sometimes it leads to health issues. So like for us in Sierra Leone, I would say climate change is affecting us tremendously. One area is the area of agriculture, and most of the youth in Sierra Leone, they depend in agriculture.
My country in Nigeria, as you know, deforestation is a major problem, which is affecting climate. And not just the country alone that is like dealing with it. NGOs, non-governmental organizations have really sprung up to really take actions. Like my mom now, my mom joined this, she's part of this organization where I think they plant trees. So they go to like, they go to like schools, plant tree. It's called, I think, plant a tree or something. That's what it's called. So it's not just the government alone that is dealing with it. I think virtually like everyone like is a responsibility for everyone. So I've seen a lot of NGOs coming up, raising awareness, creating campaigns and all of that, and they are really, really doing a lot of work. So they are planting trees, and then I think they are trying to reduce the rate at which they like cut down trees and all of that. Thank you.
That's good. And since Renako is from Barbados, I'll let him speak on this new project that our government here in Barbados have started to help combat deforestation. Renako, would you like to elaborate on that further as it relates to the planting of the million trees between now and next year?
Oh, you mean, right, the project on the planting of the million trees, you said?
Yes, please.
So, from what I gather from the project, over the years, a lot of trees have been removed because of development, whether it be development. I believe on the coastline, a lot of mangroves has been removed because of hotels and various housing areas around the coastline. And what we've seen and what I've noticed as well is there has been an increase in temperature. Not only has there been an increase in temperature, but the project also looks at providing food sources because of the COVID-19, recently they've decided instead of planting being specific, they're planting fruit trees. So fruit trees where you have food and fruit trees that could handle, let's say, if a hurricane has to come. So what they've started, and the main goal is to really have to really meet the UN Sustainable Goal of 2030. So that's one of the areas that they're looking at. Another area that they're looking at, which is I think one of the most fast-paced ones, is having no fossil fuels by 2030, with working with our local light and power, our local light and power, where they've started wind farms as well as solar sun energy farms as well around the country, well, mainly in St. Lucie. But the tree project aspect of it, I think really, not only is it to battle the amount of deforestation that we've had because of development, but and also to create more green spaces around the country. For example, the removal of deforestation in Barbados, deforestation and the old NIS National Insurance Building to place a green area in the heart of one of our major towns as well. Thank you.
Kiran, do you wish to add anything about deforestation as it relates to your country?
Okay, so in Ivory Coast, we have a huge problem of deforestation. So since 1960, our country lost about 90% of its forest. So as a young climate activist with some other organization for environment, we made a lot of campaign for reforestation, and we met the government, we met the Ministry of Forest and Water and Forest. And since last year, since 2019, the government of my country set up a huge program of reforestation in Ivory Coast in order to reforest about 3 million hectares of forest. So last year, what we did, it was a big activity. So in one day, we just planted 1 million of trees. Yes, 1 million of trees. So for this year, we are going to do the same thing, but the objective this year is to plant 5 million of trees. So I think they are listening what young people are saying. They are listening what climate activists are saying about the climate crisis, and they are trying to take action about that. So it's good.
Okay, that's great. Well, guys, you'll see that today we saw that in Ivory Coast, they're basically doing the same thing to help prevent deforestation within both countries of planting 1 million trees. So I think that's fantastic. Anyone from Sierra Leone Schools Green Club have anything else to add on that topic?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's really a laudable venture being undertaken by Ivory Coast and other countries. We know Sierra Leone as a context. We know deforestation is drastically affecting the ecosystem. If you look at the amount of logging taking place in Sierra Leone, and the most disheartening thing about this is that it is creating jobs for some youths. So when you want to stop the act, majority of them will frown out you. Like when governments tend to put a ban on deforestation, the youth go on the rampage. You know, that is why we want government to take strict measures against this deforestation. Like we just had a conference with the African Union wherein the Sierra Leone School Green Club made it categorically clear to policymakers that we should go back to the drawing board. Like in Sierra Leone, we used to have a tradition here. When the child is born, they plant a tree for that child. We had it in Sierra Leone here. It has been forgotten. So we want government to reinstitute that. We want it to be a policy. Every child born in Sierra Leone here, they should plant a tree for you. Really, I want to also commend the government of Sierra Leone for instituting the planting of 1 million trees. Of course, they started that one. That is very laudable. We want that to continue. We know that trees are the life of the planet. They give us the oxygen that is needed for life support. If we destroy the trees, then we are destroying ourselves. We want all partners, everybody so far, to take this very, very important to make sure that we plant trees, that we replace trees. We can have alternative livelihood for youths. We can create jobs for them. Again, whatever tree that is being cut, let them make sure that they replant these trees again. Thank you.
Ashley, before we go, I just want to say, somebody made mention about fruit trees. And we had a campaign during Mandela's Day. We started a campaign called Fruit Trees for Schools. So for all the 10 schools that we are working with, we make sure we give them trees that they plant in their different schools. And those fruit trees, we give them snacks, because we know for us Africans here, we sometimes survive on fruits. So like fruit trees will also make them have snacks during the school days. And also it will help to protect the environment or the school's compound. So like we've introduced that in the different schools. And if you go through our Facebook page, you will see some of these pictures, how far these trees are going now. So these are some of our interventions. Thank you.
I actually love the idea, the conceptualization of that project. Having school students planting trees and fruit trees in the schools so that they will be able to kind of make their own meals or have healthy fruits. And I think in the context of climate change and health, we should really look at the development in the agriculture industry, as it relates to creating healthy foods and healthy food baskets for our children while they're in schools. So I don't know if anyone wants to speak on healthy lifestyle living in the context of climate change. Anyone wants to add on that? No?
Yes, Daniel again. Yes.
Okay.
Of course, in Africa, we believe in eating fresh foods. But now, I tell you for free, the introduction of GM, genetically modified products in the African market, is creating a lot of problems for Africans. Eating of this junk food and so forth. Climate change has so affected our agricultural sector that we can no longer produce our own fresh foods. It has been a problem. That is why we thought it fit, the Sierra Leone School Green Club, to introduce agriculture again in schools, planting fruit trees, and the schools planting food for themselves so that they can rely on those foods. We've just started the pilot phase. We hope that in the near future, we can roll that out to every part of this country so that schools can start planting their own food so that they can eat fresh, natural food. We know it's more healthier than these GM foods that's coming from other countries, So that is why, I know you agree with that. The agricultural sector is very much important to the health of people, especially Africans. This is why agriculture becomes very much important in the fight against climate change.
One major thing that was surprising was, the size of the country. When you're coming from Nigeria, then to Barbados and all of that, the size of the country, when you compare them, they're like a lot different. But then what I really noticed there is, in terms of traffic and when driving and all of that, is I don't know, should I say it's actually quite different? Because back home we're used to a lot of traffic on the road and you can stop there for like hours. But then coming back here, coming to Barbados, it was a lot different. And then the beaches too. The beaches are really, really nice. Like sometimes I just enjoy spending time there. But then I noticed, like, I visited a beach recently, and I was seeing someone was actually telling me about this. I don't know the name. It's probably a weed or something. And then it was really, really all over the beaches. And from there, I could infer that it's a direct result of climate change. I don't know what the government is doing about that. I don't know. I really do not know. So maybe someone can explain to me.
Ranako, maybe?
Could Damni repeat what she was asking?
Okay, like I said, when I went to the beach, like I saw some, I don't know, maybe weed or something. I don't know if it's weed or what it's called on the beach, like all over the beach.
Sargassum seaweed, runoff.
Oh, seaweed, yeah. So I don't know if the government is doing anything about it, or if there are steps that have been taken or something.
Yes, the last thing I can remember, because it has been a problem for a while. It began with, well, not government as per se, but it began with local businesses trying to find ways to use the sargassum seaweed. But I believe recently the government is enacting on a project to use the seaweed. I can't remember what exactly they're using it for, but I think believe they're also in negotiations with with another country.
Various beauty products and stuff
To
to
find
make
ways,
it a viable economy in Barbados.
because unfortunately for us, that's the reality of how the tides take the dead seaweed onto our coast. So that's
Hello.
Thank you, Ronaldo.
Can I go? Can I continue?
Yes, you can. You can.
Okay, this is Alansan. Someone made mention about, I think the lady from Nigeria, and that's, I think it's called the seaweeds. We've also seen them on our beaches here in Sierra Leone. So, like, I think there are people that are making use of it when they transform it to briquettes or to fuel to do other work. So that one also is an issue of environment, an issue of climate change. Maybe that would be another employment area for youth in Sierra Leone, because I believe we've got that every year. We are seeing them on our beaches, all over the beaches. People are not able to go down the beach to spend some time there. So in Sierra also, we also see them.
Wow, our countries have so much in common, though. That is that is very shocking. That is so shocking.
The Green School project in Ivory Coast is a project that is focused on primary schools. So with this project, we are trying to develop a mindset in children, an ecological mindset. So we want to have a green citizen. So through this project, we are teaching children how to be a co-citizen. So this project take into account various activities. So for example, we develop in the schools an ecological club where we talk about we talk about the environmental issues. So we talk about the climate change issues, the plastic pollution, the biodiversity. So we talk about all this topic with children. And apart from that, we have some practical activities. So we develop a vegetable garden so that we can be able to make children close to the nature. So by teaching them how to grow plants, how to take care of plants, and we try to transform the school to make the school a place, an ecological place. So in the schools, in the green schools in Ivory Coast, we have solar panels. We have a system of recycling, of plastic recycling. In Ivory Coast, UNICEF is building school with plastic recycle. So we have a factory here since this year that is working, And the idea with the green school is to collect the plastic waste directly in the schools with children, and so that the plastic waste can be used um, to do some plastic bricks, so that UNICEF can use to build more schools for children.
No, it's not done. Take it down like 5 minutes.
Hello.
Hi, I could hear you.
Okay. So this is the kind of the thing that we do with our green school project here.
That's good. Renako, you can confirm if in the schools I think there's a green club. I can't remember what's the exact name of the green clubs here in Barbados. But in most schools across Barbados, we actually have environmental programs where young persons create like various projects within the school sector within their school environment. So some persons plant trees, go to beaches and clean up. So there are various environmental groups here in Barbados, especially in the schools. I don't know if Renako, you know the name of the actual movement here in Barbados as it relates to kids, these school groups? I cannot remember the name. Do you know the name by chance?
Yeah, I remember the name, but I know there's a main organization, but it's not in. I think it's Green. I think it's Green Fingers or something along that name. But they're only in specific schools. However, every school, I believe, or almost every school in Barbados at least has an environmental club.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So it's good to see that across our countries that there are many young persons participating in various environmental groups to bring more sensitization and awareness to the impact climate change is having on not only people's health, but the environment in general. And I think that is what we need all across the world, to actually have climate change and the environment in our school's curriculum. So I don't know if anyone else have anything to add as it relates to the subject matter. Karan put up his hand. I don't know what that means. You can tell me what that means.
I have a question for the Sierra Leone Green School Club.
Okay.
So I'm a bit interested to know how do they work there in the Green School project.
Thank you, Carol. I think you said all what we are doing is almost the same thing that we are doing. Presently, we are trying a curriculum with a volunteer professor from the Netherlands, from Network University, that is helping us to develop a curriculum. We've gone so far, and we started testing the curriculum on the plastic recycling and environmental issues with schools. So, like, we've won a grant from an organization in the US that we should start a recycling, plastic recycling project. But with schools, the funding, they were not able to give us the complete funding. So we are trying to secure another funding from different organizations to see how we could start the project. So like what you are saying is almost the same that we are doing here. So far, we are only working with 10 schools for now because of funding issues. We are not able to spread out to other schools because it takes resources to spread up to them. One of the main innovative projects that we are doing with them is this orchard garden, because we found out that most of the children are doing agriculture, but they don't practice it in the different schools that they are attending. So we look for schools that have land to make sure we practice them in the area of agriculture. And one of the other areas of intervention is we provide them collections of plastic, we provide them bins to collect, to sort out their different waste. We only make use of the plastics for now because since we are presently working on this project or trying to secure funding for this project, so like we've given them recyclers bins to sort out their different waste collection. So at the end of the day, we gather them when we store them already, so that when we start the project, we have a lot of plastic. And this organization that gave us these grants, we've been working with them for the past 3 years. They never given us a cent. But this year they called for grants which they asked us to apply. So we apply. We've been working with them in the area of cleaning the ocean. We work with the children. We take them to the beaches to make sure we pick up plastic, straws, and other things. So that I would say we're always working with the same area.